Alright, let's talk about the return of Ted Lasso, or should I say, the joyless return? Because honestly, that's the vibe I'm getting, and I think it's worth unpacking. Picture this. You're walking through the mall, minding your own business, when suddenly you run into your ex. That initial rush of nostalgia hits. Oh, remember how great things used to be? But then reality sets in. You remember why you broke up. That's exactly how the first episode of Season 3 felt to me. It's like the show forgot what made it special in the first place. Now, let's back up for a second. For those who've been living under a rock, Ted Lasso is about this overly optimistic American football coach who somehow ends up coaching an English soccer team. It's a premise that shouldn't work, but in the first 2 seasons, it did. The show was this perfect blend of whimsy, heart, and humor. Remember the finale of Season 2? AFC Richmond almost wins the championship. Ted decides to go back to Kansas to be with his son. It was emotional. It was silly. It was Ted Lasso. But here's the thing. That was 3 years ago. And in that time, something seems to have gotten lost in translation. Personally, I think what made Ted Lasso so magical was its ability to balance absurdity with genuine emotion. Like, who could forget the players singing "So Long, Farewell" on the pitch? It was ridiculous, but it worked because the show wasn't afraid to be unapologetically itself. But this new season? It feels like it's trying too hard to recapture that magic, and in doing so, it's lost its spark. One thing that immediately stands out is how forced everything feels. The humor doesn't land as naturally, the characters seem a bit off. It's like they're all trying to remind us why we fell in love with them, but it's coming across as desperate. What makes this really interesting is how it reflects a broader trend in TV. Shows often struggle to maintain their identity after a long hiatus. Think about it. When a show takes years to return, the world has moved on. Audiences have changed, expectations have shifted, and what worked before might not work now. Ted Lasso feels like it's stuck in this limbo, trying to be the same show it was in 2021, but the formula isn't clicking. And honestly, I can't help but wonder if the showrunners are aware of this. Are they trying to give fans what they want, or are they trying to evolve? Because right now, it feels like they're doing neither. From my perspective, the biggest issue is that the show has lost its sense of joy. Ted Lasso used to be this beacon of optimism, this reminder that kindness and positivity could overcome even the toughest challenges. But now, it feels like the show is going through the motions. Take Ted himself. He's still charming, but there's a heaviness to him that wasn't there before. It's like the weight of the past 2 seasons is dragging him down, and the show doesn't know how to lift him back up. What this really suggests is that even the most feel-good stories can't escape the consequences of their own success. If you take a step back and think about it, this season could have been an opportunity to explore new territory. Ted's back in Kansas. AFC Richmond is moving forward without him. There's so much potential for growth, for new storylines, for fresh perspectives. But instead, it feels like the show is stuck in a holding pattern, afraid to let go of what made it great. And that's a shame, because Ted Lasso has always been about taking risks, about believing in the impossible. Maybe that's the lesson here. Even the most beloved shows need to evolve, or they risk becoming a shadow of their former selves. What many people don't realize is that TV shows are living, breathing entities. They grow, they change, and sometimes they falter. Ted Lasso isn't the first show to struggle with a comeback, and it won't be the last. But what makes this situation so fascinating is how it mirrors the themes of the show itself. Ted Lasso is all about resilience, about finding hope in the face of adversity. So, maybe this season is just another challenge for the show to overcome. Personally, I'm still holding out hope that it can find its way back. Because at its core, Ted Lasso is still a show worth believing in. So, here's my closing thought. What if this joyless return is actually a necessary step? What if the show needs to hit rock bottom before it can climb back up? It's a risky move, but then again, Ted Lasso has always been about taking risks. Maybe this is just the next chapter in its story, one that's messy, uncertain, and a little bit painful. But hey, isn't that life? And isn't that what Ted Lasso has always been about? Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you feeling the same way about this season, or am I totally off base? Either way, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.